Hello and welcome once again to Kray Z Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires we call the internet is Joe Kray Z Writer. How you doing tonight, Joe?
Oh, shit. Am I late? Did I make it? Do we got time? Oh, I never thought I'd make it. Holy shit, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to be running late. I guess I needed to catch my breath.
Well, here we are, kids. It's episode 262. That means that we are the longest-running episodic podcast in the history of the internet.
I find that to be completely incorrect, sir.
What?
I was waiting for the crickets to show up.
The crickets are gone, mercifully.
You may have more episodes than us, but we are still the longest-running episodic podcast in the history of the galaxy.
I told you, Strode, but you just wouldn't believe me. You kept pumping the lies, and now we're busted.
We're being invaded. There was special guests. Please introduce yourselves to the audience.
Hey, fellow crappers, it's your old buddy and your old pal, R.D. Reynolds here once again, with Blade Braxton.
Cory, you totally ripped these guys off.
Well, of course I did.
Telling you, we actually wanted to cast comic crap, and Cory was all worried that these guys would come down on him like this.
What else have I been doing that's a lie?
Pretty much everything but this show.
Hey, look at for your other two. You should feel good because on my show I stick my hand up a dummy's ass, so at least
We have that too. It's just for twice a year.
Oh.
Special occasions.
And he's talking about a ventriloquist dummy, not his co-host. So
I couldn't get.
Well, we've got you guys on because, first, we're big fans. Huge fans. And when Wrestlecrap Radio...
I've never heard of you.
How dare you?
It happens. It happens with the chicks.
And when Wrestlecrap Radio went away, the crickets actually came over to us for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you ripped that off too?
Yes, but I let them know. I told them.
Uh-huh.
Well,
that makes it okay.
Hey.
You gotta, whenever you're in the entertainment business, and I am doing the little rabbit ears, you can't see that because apparently if I do video on this podcast, it blows everything up. But
it makes me cry.
But whenever you're in the entertainment business, you have to go to, you gotta put the roof over your head, you gotta put meal on the table, and I have no qualms with the crickets. Whenever Wrestlecrap Radio went dark, the crickets needed to sustain their families. So I have no problem with those no good traitors going someplace else.
All 2,057 eggs of them.
Cory, if I buy one of your novels and, is there going to be, a sticker with your name on the cover and I peel it off and it says Stephen King underneath?
No, it'll say Harlan Ellison.
See, I don't know who that is.
Last. Oh, Elizabeth, I'm coming. These young kids these days.
Now I gotta ask you this, Cory. Is Mama from Good Times, is she a part of your show now?
No. Sadly, we have Jeb Bush.
She wanted to get paid.
We don't have Jeb Bush.
Yes, we do. Jeb Bush asks people to please clap.
What?
Do you have any wayward robots?
No, we don't have any wayward robots. But we will have a special guest later on that you two will recognize.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, boy, I can't wait.
But he's not someone who's been on your show.
I like this guy's voice. Can I be on his show from now on?
Whose voice?
Sure, we'll just trade. We'll trade
too.
I don't know anything about comic books, so that hasn't stopped me yet.
Whose voice? Whose voice? Mine or
video history.
The one that's not coming through the distorted phone line.
Oh, no.
How you doing?
Well, that was
distorted phone guy is doing great.
I wasn't talking to you.
Oh.
Well, guys, why don't you introduce kind of where you came from, because my listeners are comic book nerds.
Yep.
So why don't you let them know what crap?
Yeah, let the good people know about what Cory ripped off.
Well, we are R.D. Reynolds and Blade Braxton. We're from Wrestlecrap Radio. The website is wrestlecrap.com. The very worst in professional wrestling. It's been around since April 1st, 2000, so that's a lot of years. That's 16 years. And then Wrestlecrap Radio came along. How long was that, Blade? When did we start that?
2005. August 12th, 2005, so it's almost our 11th anniversary.
So we started Wrestlecrap Radio August 12th, 2005, and we decided to do a wrestling radio show that wasn't on the radio and didn't ever really talk about wrestling. So it became a hodgepodge car wreck of various characters, storylines, and just kind of nonstop lunacy. And we've been doing it for 11 years.
And how did you two meet?
That's actually that's actually a very funny story.
Oh, the
It's a
10th anniversary.
Bad story? It's a great story.
The 10th anniversary is tin or aluminum.
Oh,
So did you guys like make hats last year or something?
What did we do? I can't remember. I've drank too much over the past 11 years of this show.
I don't remember what we did for it either. I can tell you, I do remember how we met, though. I on the website, had asked for submissions for a recreate Wrestlecrap contest to where people would submit videotapes. That's how long ago it was. We didn't get posts on YouTube or DVDs or anything. It was actual VHS videotape would be sent to me by U.S. Postal Service, and people would recreate horrible wrestling things they had seen in the past.
Correction. Me being as timely as usual, I actually had to ship mine next day UPS to make your deadline. Imagine that.
I was
serious, man.
Yeah, but his came in. It was the absolute last one that came in, and he had done a recreation of a. How would you? I will let you explain it, Blade. The Black Scorpion angle.
Cory's a wrestling fan. He knows the Black Scorpion, one of the greatest gimmicks of all time.
But Cory may be a wrestling fan, but I don't know that his co-hosts are, and the listeners probably have no earthly idea what we're talking about, and hopefully haven't turned this show off by now.
Oh, of course they wouldn't. The Black Scorpion was this unknown masked nemesis of Sting, who was the then WCW champion in 1990. And he used magic tricks and black magic and all types of black robes and mysterious stuff to play tricks on Sting.
And by magic tricks, he wasn't doing anything really evil to Sting, but he would get somebody out of the audience, put a box on their head, and then spin the box around so it looked like the man's head was spinning. I don't know exactly how this was supposed to intimidate Sting or how it was supposed to help him win, because at the end of the day, what was it about? He was supposed to win a wrestling match, a professional wrestling match. I don't know how turning an audience member into a tiger was going to help him attain this goal. But Blade had done a fantastic recreation of it.
Whereas I was the Black Scorpion in this film, and instead of the Black Scorpion going after Sting, he was going after R.D. Reynolds. So that's that.
Then he unmasked at the end as
Burt Reynolds,
which in storyline is R.D. Reynolds is Burt Reynolds' illegitimate nephew.
Reynolds rap.
Excuse me?
Nothing.
Oh. You have a good voice, even if it came out of your throat.
I don't get it.
Are the crickets there?
No. Can somebody explain what Joe said to me?
Well,
No.
What happened there?
No.
My monitor went out. You don't have to yell at me. I'm not blind.
Yeah, so that's how that started. And then now, believe it or not, I have about 10 or 11 IMDb credits to my name. Yeah, the acting career is caught fire. Yep.
Blade is well known to trauma fans.
Yeah,
Well,
been in a couple trauma films.
Mm-hmm.
And you host a what is it? The Drive-In Movie Maniacs? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, I'm a co-star on that, man. The Drive-In Movie Maniacs. It's in the Kansas City area on television. It is a throwback to the old Elvira Movie Macabre horror host kind of things. Check that out, driveinmoviemaniacs.com. You can see some episodes on YouTube even.
Well, the reason we have you gentlemen here, is it just because we have
Kansas City. What do you got to do there to graduate? Milk a cow with your left hand?
Right.
You have to just ignore him. You learn to do it after a while.
You think this brain thing's a gimmick, huh?
I think he has this, terrible paperback book full of dad jokes that he just reads from.
Well, it's unfortunate. I used to have a 1940s insult book. I should have broke out of the mothballs. Remember that?
Shipping for that.
Hey, dude, you're as stimulating as a mouthful of sawdust and water. That one was from the book. Remember that, RD?
Well, absolutely. Like I said, I mean that was a running gag that we used to do on the show, along again with a lot of the characters and stuff that we had. And the characters always flawed in some way on our show. So Jim Ross is a very respected wrestling announcer. On our show, there's an angry Jim. There's a viewing booth Bill Cosby, who originated far before before any of his real life incidents ever came to be known.
We are psychic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've got you on because we have, in 6 years, surpassed the number of episodes that you have.
That's impressive.
And because
quantity over quality.
Damn right. And because we honor you, that we wanted to have you on to pass judgment.
Okay.
We are going to give you what we feel are the worst comics, either comic books or comic strips, we've ever read. And you, seeing as how that you've got the longest running episodic podcast in the galaxy,
that's right,
will decide which one of us has been through the most pain.
Okay. I must admit, I do, even though I am known for the wrestling stuff on the internet. I have probably about maybe 2,500 comic books in my possession. So
I think Joe has that many next to his bed.
I have about a dozen. And several of them, for some reason, are New Kids on the Block comic books that someone thought they should send me. I don't know why. I've never understood that. A lot of times people would send me stuff, and I would just be like, this doesn't have anything to do with wrestling. I would assume that's where you know me from, and if you're sending me New Kids on the Block comics, you don't know me at all.
Hey,
so.
Hey, man, I ended up with a Billy Ray Cyrus comic from Marvel somehow, somewhere.
The Billy Ray Cyrus comic, written by Paul S. Newman, who has written more comics than any human being on the planet, and drawn by Dan Barry, who drew Flash Gordon for 30 years.
He does this all the time.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're...
Crap.
Wow. You know what? That's the benefits of probably not drinking heavily throughout 261 episodes. I used to be able to rattle stuff off like that now. Now I think Jack Kirby came up with X-Force.
He invented the vacuum cleaner.
Jen is your name, correct?
Yes, like the drink, but with a J.
I don't know.
That's my Paul Stanley impression.
If everyone else could be,
What is that terrible racket?
if everyone else could be silent for a moment while Jen and I have a quick conversation.
Hello.
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 When you're on, several times you have sounded very bored and very much like, I can't believe I'm stuck on this podcast with these other people. And so I think you and I have a lot in common.
I like you.
Yeah, perhaps we should talk some other time.
Why don't you two get a room?
Like I said, in the entertainment business, you always have to find other work. I'm just saying.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm going to start talking in a clown voice soon.
Yeah, Jen's a legend in this podcast. If you don't believe her, ask her.
I'm a what?
Moving on.
No.
Money's the same whether you can earn it or scam it.
What was the question?
So, hey, are you a comics fan or not?
No, I just draw him.
Okay.
He gives me stuff to read and review, and I'm usually like, man, this has a lot of words.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you prefer like a coloring book, perhaps?
Well, you see, it's kind of like that, except I also draw the pictures that I color.
Oh, okay. So you prefer just a notebook that has nothing in it?
Yes.
Blank pages.
Absolutely.
So for Christmas morning, you just want to open up like a 500 sheet of copy paper.
Yeah, that would be fucking amazing.
Okay. There you go, kids. Amazon wish list for her.
Give me that and a few dozen Sharpies, and I'm good.
Well, are we ready for the rendering of judgment?
Sure.
Oh, I can't wait, man. That's what I got out of bed today.
You've got a what?
It's why he got out of bed today.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought he said I have to something that rhymes with exasperate, and I was really saying that. Well, I cannot wait until the day they. It's funny because we've been doing this podcast for 11 years. His phone keeps getting worse somehow. Technology always improving.
Hey.
And it's like he's using the phone for this call to think hours. It always sounds like this.
You know what? Here's the thing. I went out and I bought the CSU's instant money goodbye. But I did the Skype thing and people were disappointed because
It sounds like he's falling down a digital well. This happens all the time.
Well, I still think the problems caused by the podcast at the beginning were because of Blade. I'm going to blame him, and I'm sticking to that.
That's what I said 11 years ago.
Everybody blames me for everything. That's good. Oh, my fault.
So, the comic I have chosen, he said, frantically trying to get us back on topic.
Dog-eat-dog world, and Mr. Perfect is a milk bone.
There goes Joe.
Many comic fans know the name Neal Adams. Neal Adams is one of the best-known comic artists, probably one of the greatest comic artists of all time. But there are times they let him write, and this is always a bad idea. In 1983, he created the comic Skateman. Now, there was only one issue of Skateman, and maybe as I explain it, you'll understand why. We begin with Skateman beating up some bikers. We don't know why. We don't know what's going on. But he's beating up some bikers. And the fight begins with him saying, "Hands off, jerkhole," as the bikers grabbing him. "We're forming a union.
Ooh, jerkhole.
My foot, and your face." This page continues as our hero, wearing a baby T-shirt cut off at the waist and Daisy Dukes and roller skates, attacks these bikers until one of them picks up a 2x4 and cracks him in the back of the head, knocking him out.
I thought you were going to say stuff to 2x4 is
He is saved by a 12-year-old boy on a skateboard who affectionately calls him Pigmeat.
Wait a minute.
As the cops arrive. They escape.
Wait, you said you said Pigmeat.
Did he swallow a kazoo?
Pigmeat.
If it was in my house, he'd be shaking pretty big.
One of these days, Blade, can you please do everyone a favor? Please on your Twitter, it's Twitter Blade Braxton, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you please post a picture of whatever cellular communication device you're using? I picture something with a giant antenna that looks about the size of an old VHS tape.
Boy, what's the problem here? You can't hear me? Or I can't hear you? What's the problem?
Our hero, who has now been beat up, is taken back to his hideout, where his girlfriend gives him some, what's the best way to put it? She calls them healing herbs. And at this point, we find out his origin. He is a Vietnam veteran who's also a martial arts expert, who was the greatest roller derby star until there was an accident. One of the wheels came off while he was in the roller derby, and it messed up his friend's skate, killing him instantly, causing our hero to be injured, and he had a steel replacement in his skull, steel in some of his bones, and he decided he was going to fight crime as Skateman.
You know, that is more tragic than Mr. Mean, Mike Jackson going over the wall in roller games in 98.
Can we all just sing the Rock, and Roller Game song together?
I don't know that.
I want my rock and roll games.
How is Joe not singing?
Rockin' and rollin'! Rockin' with the roller games! Yeah!
The distortion actually works with that.
Did I ever tell you I was the #1 MySpace karaoke singer at one point in time?
It was last week.
It's really just him and 3 sock puppet accounts.
So our hero builds a motorized roller skate for his friend Paco, who he now affectionately calls Big Meat. And they go after the biker gang. And the way they defeat these bikers is they trick them into stealing a tanker truck full of gasoline.
Girlfriend.
Trick this tanker truck into chasing him down an alley, where he jumps over the tanker truck runs into the wall, exploding, causing all the gasoline to set on fire, giving us Pigmeat yelling wahoo, and it doesn't just say the end, it says finis. Because the French is classy.
Okay, my phone just started working, and I did hear you said Pigmeat, not dick meat, which really saddens me.
Are these guys voting on which one of us has suffered most, or the listeners?
It's 4 against 4.
There are no listeners left. Let's not kid ourselves.
Joe, can you please give us your entry into this?
You're going to make me do it, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Oh, Christ. Okay, hang on. I think I can do it. Mine is... DeathMate! Oh!
He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke!
Oh.
Joe, please explain what DeathMate was.
Oh, I'll try. DeathMate combines the talents... Sorry, let me try again. DeathMate combines the talents... sorry. And comic universes of Image and Valiant for the first time. And DeathMate is really it was just a really, really bad crossover. It was supposed to be 6 books, and you figure at the time, we're talking all the way back 1993 when Jen was busy sucking on whatever she could get in her mouth. It was...
You're implying that's changed.
So, anyways, as I was saying about DeathMate, it's just... You take Valiant Comics, which has been super duper popular, and the books were going crazy, and Image, which had just started out 1992, and they had a good... a lot of people all excited about it. You figure, well, let's do a crossover, like crossovers I want to do. The problem was, well, twofold. First of all, when you had DeathMate, and it was, oh God, no, you were doing it around me. You knew the Valiant characters because they'd been out for
awfully
years,
feminine
so it
sound
wasn't a big
retching,
deal.
Joe.
For the most, oh, here, let me try this. Is that much better?
Is that Butch?
Oh well. Anyways, the problem was nobody knew who the hell the Image characters were, and so when you decide you're going to mash them together, it got really damn confusing really fast. But at the time, I owned a comic shop, and I mean, we ordered the bejesus out of this thing. And you had the prologue issue, which set it up. Essentially, 2 characters, Solar from Valiant and Void from Image. They got busy. But unfortunately, it meant the destruction of both comic book universes, and that started the whole thing going. You had DeathMate Yellow, which had characters Archer and Armstrong and Wildcats, Ninjak, Wildcats, DeathMate Blue, and...
Why, yes, it did.
Yellow. DeathMate Yellow. And those 3 came out from the Valiant side. They came out in a timely manner. And let's see. Just looking at the dates. Yeah, they shipped pretty quick. And I don't know what the hell I ordered. I think we were ordering like about 100 per book, which was pretty amazing because the book was a $5 book. And at the time, normal comics were only $2.50. Then got it.
What year would this have been?
93.
Okay, I seem to remember like weren't Marvel comics though? They still around like maybe $1.75 or $2.
Yeah, Marvel and DC were always. Excuse me a second. Were always a little cheaper than the other ones.
Yeah.
So the fact that you were just buying the Image and you were buying Valiant, meant you were spending a little bit more. Interesting thing about it was the guys who bought Valiant really liked story. The guys who bought Image didn't really care about story. They just really dug the super hyper cross-hatching that Image was known for. Image was also known for being late. And their half of the prologue, or the DeathMate, was the same thing. I mean, you had DeathMate Black, which had the only notable thing in it because it was the first appearance of Gen 13. But again, it was an altered Gen 13, so who the hell would you know? DeathMate, what are the other ones there? We got Yellow, Blue, Black, Red. How could I forget Red? That was the run Rob Liefeld did. And that one was about, what was it, Cory, about 6 months late?
At least.
I mean, it was just nasty. And the only thing I remember as a comic book shop is DeathMate Red was so late that they actually allowed us to cut orders on them, which was incredible because at the time, unless a book was 6 months late, you weren't allowed to reduce orders or cancel them. But in the case of Liefeld, it was just too late. And that was probably the beginning of the first comic book collapse in the 90s because so many retailers had their money tied up in this DeathMate book, and then the 2 Image books came way after summer. I think if I remember right, the first Image one, the black came in September, and the red came in November. It was crazy. I mean, it just took years. We actually reduced our DeathMate red from about, I think, 100 to maybe 50. And of that, I think 25 of them were actually for subscribers. Initially, we had like 60 people that wanted this, but as time went on, they just dropped it. They had a prologue, they had an epilogue, they had gold variant covers. Over the years, I've sold the gold variant covers on eBay for a bit of money because they're fairly rare. For a while, DeathMate Black was up in price because it was the first appearance of Gen 13. DeathMate Red went up in price for a little bit because everybody canceled them, so they became scarce. But you can go on eBay, you can go on Atomic Avenue. They're all anywhere from 25 cents to $1. So if you really, really want to hurt yourself, go pick up some DeathMate.
I just want to say thank you for making the Spider-Man clone saga the greatest thing that happened to me in 1994.
Well, and lastly, Jen?
Uh-huh.
What is your crap comic you will be throwing into the pile?
Nancy sucks, Fritzy tits, Phil Fumble, Vietnam vets, Guy Gilchrist deserves to be pelted with rotten tomatoes, the end.
Did either of you guys understand that at all?
Oh, I blocked that event out of my mind.
Artie?
I'm still trying to... that sounded like some haiku or something.
There were bullet points.
Oh, they were bullet points. Can you go through them one at a time, one more time?
Yeah,
so I can really absorb it all?
My phone malfunctioned. I just heard something about Nancy Grace in Vietnam.
Close enough.
Is this an updated version of We Didn't Start the Fire?
Do I really need to go on another 45-minute rant about how much I fucking hate Nancy?
No, but you could do a shorter version.
45-second rant.
I thought I would win just by virtue of being the shortest.
Did you actually say Nancy Grace?
No, I said Nancy the comic strip, like from the newspaper.
Full of grace.
I said Fritzy tits.
I like tits.
Sure you do.
Well, there you go, guys.
Are you eating Fritos, Joe?
Oh, I thought they were tits. But you can't have this one.
A bag of Fritos saved my life one time.
I'll keep one in my car.
Please tell us that story. I'm sure it's more interesting than anything that's transpired in the last half hour.
Could you sing it to the tune of Someone Saved My Life Tonight by Elton John? Fritos saved my life tonight, Sugar Bear.
Sugar Bear. That was a good cereal.
Oh, yeah. Normally when we talk to people, we bring up cereal. But we got to talk about comics today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are now asking you to pass judgment on which of these three comics deserves the name Comic Crap.
Okay. Well, man, dude, I'm a sucker for things that only last one episode, and so I'm going to go with roller derby guy and dick meat.
I'm on board with you, Blade. Yes. If the other one would have been about Nancy Grace, I think that would have won. I'm very sad that it was not about Nancy Grace.
Who is Nancy Grace?
What?
Oh God! I wish I could have this woman's brain.
My friend,
but still possessed by dick meat. Nice little counterbalance, just to not live in a world where I know who Nancy Grace is.
No, really, who's Nancy Grace?
She is a host on Headline News.
What's Headline News?
Cable network.
What's cable?
Now I want her brain too.
I don't watch it, but I know what cable is. That's the
a comic book.
It's the thing that brings my internet, but sometimes pictures come if you pay for it.
Jeez, I bet my family's listening to this at home, wondering if the wheels are going to get stolen off their home.
Well, guys, I know you have to run.
Hey, tramps like us, maybe we were born to run.
But I want to thank you for being such good sports, for putting up with our shenanigans.
Oh, it's good times, man.
It's
good
only
times.
Monday.
We don't talk about comic books enough on our website or our podcast. Remember when Kevin Nash was the rapist in a comic book deal?
And he looked like a lion? Yes, that's in the archives. Mm-hmm.
Still nothing tops the Ultimate Warrior comic book from Image. You gotta...
That was self-published.
Oh, it was self-published.
Yeah, okay, in time out. Wait a second, time out, as my co-host always likes to say.
Time out real quick.
No one had that as their comic crap. The Ultimate Warrior stripping Santa to his underwear and then chaining him to a wall. Really, is that worse than a wayward Vietnam veteran that wants to be Skateman?
There was actually a comic that I was going to use, but I decided really the only terrible thing about it is one line in it. It's a comic called Tarot, and it's about a woman who wears a thong.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the stories, she warns one of her friends. All of her friends seem to just wear thongs and bras. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God, your vagina is haunted.
Wow.
The rest of the story doesn't live up to that.
Was she a consultant on that comic book?
No. Sadly, no.
Was Haunted Vaginas ever a part of the EC Comics horror line back in the day?
Not in the 50s, no. They couldn't get away with that.
Hold on just a second. I got to go to GoDaddy. Oh, look at this. HauntedVagina.com. That URL is not, in fact, taken. So...
Well, gentlemen, thank you again.
Hey.
Thank you for the years of entertainment.
Thank you. We really appreciate you having us on. You guys are more than welcome to invade our show at any time you so desire.
How you doing?
Joe, I smell an NWO angle.
It's either that or a who's who of Skid Row.
I don't know anything about wrestling either.
Or it would be like that comic book you were talking about earlier where it was two different, and that may be just awful.
I can buy a kazoo if that's your thing.
As long as it's a digital kazoo and it sounds like you swallowed it.
All right, well, thanks a lot, guys.
Better than swallowing kazoo from the Flintstones.
Oh, wasn't that the great kazoo?
Kazoo, not kazoo.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh.
Get your horrible Flintstones references right.
Hey, I was a Warner Brothers fan.
Knowing something.
I was a Warner Brothers fan, not Hanna-Barbera.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, good night, and thanks again.
Please don't leave.
Please don't go. Don't go. I'm begging you to stay.
Best of luck to you, Jen. I don't know what to tell you, except run.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You again? God, all I want to do is download porn in peace, and you're bothering me. Jeez.
You know who doesn't talk about terrible comics?
I thought I was going to escape.
Butch, but he's not here today.
These guys, our sponsors. Yes, here at Solitaire Rose Networks, we have ads. That's right, we have ads. Just like every other podcast. Come on, it's okay. Our first advertiser is our longest-running advertiser, and that's DreamHost.com. DreamHost.com is the best, bar none, web host all over the interwebs. You could go to other web hosts. You could go to the ones that have big ads on TV and everything, and they're not going to give you the service, the dependability, and the reliability of DreamHost. Head on over to DreamHost.com, use the code KRAYZ, K-R-A-Y-Z, and get $20 off your first year of web hosting. Another of our sponsors is Dollar Shave Club. Dollar Shave Club has great blades at low prices, and let's face it, you gotta shave. Head over to shaved.by/C19DC, get you some blades. They're wonderful. I use them. I use all of our sponsors. Matter of fact, head on over to crazycomics.com. Over on the right-hand side of the page, you'll see all of our sponsors. Bombas, Grays, Flaviar, Dollar Shave Club, and DreamHost. If you would like to advertise on any of the podcasts in the Solitaire Rose Network, you can. Just email solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com, subject advertising. And after we complete the sponsors, we ask Joe what's going on the eBays. Joe?
Time to ask the Strode.
Oh, no.
Cory?
Yes?
Tell us about Treasure Chest of Fun and Fact.
Oh, that was a giveaway comic. Was it from the Catholic Church?
Yeah, the Catholic Guild.
And a lot of issues in the 50s and 60s were actually drawn by Marvel inker Joe Sinnott. I have never seen one. I've just heard about it because I grew up Methodist, and we didn't have any Catholics near us.
Yeah, another thing it's known for, they had a bunch of issues that had the threat of communism. Because, communism was dangerous back then. And, you had to get everybody against communism. So if you're interested, I actually found a stack and I loaded them up on eBay. What's interesting is it started in 46. The last volume came out in 72. And I got my price guide upstairs, so I'm not sure how many they did. But every year was a new volume, and there were it's about 20 volumes a year. And they were given out to the kids, as Cory said, as freebies. And they didn't do it over summer. And then, of course, when you went back to school again, it would start out with another volume. There were some issues that were never published. So if you ever do want to pick them up, you'll find them Volume 4, Number 5, Volume 2, Number 3, whatever. I just remember reading them as a kid, and there was a story about an old Model T that could fly, but what had happened is somebody had pissed it off so it wouldn't fly anymore. And the whole thing was... Hey, this is Catholic school. What can I say? I was going through a random issue, and it was like two To Be Continues ended up with like cars in perilous positions. One going off a cliff, one spinning out and in the air. This particular story was like the brother was taking the car, and they were going to drive it off a cliff. In the meantime, the real car was taken by the sister, and was being chased by the bad guys who wanted the car because they knew it could fly. And the last thing we saw is the car went over the cliff, and the brothers in the fake car, oh my God, it was almost me, but my sister's going to die. And the sister's in the car going, oh, please, you have to fly now. To Be Continued. And I never did find or read the next issue.
So as far as you know, they died.
Yeah, I'll go with that. But if you want to see them, you can go to my eBay site at KRAYZ, as I just loaded up a bunch. And by the time this here podcast drops, I'll have some more up. And after that, I'll have some other things. I'm just kind of slowly going through everything. And, we talked about last year, my goal was to get to the... hang on a second. Wait for it.
Still waiting.
Still waiting. Fall Comic-Con, the one-day wonder. Hello. Yep. That was my goal. I wanted to go there because I knew there was 33,000 square feet of awe-inspiring comic book wonderment. They will have free grab bags for the first 100 people. There's free parking, door prizes, a free picnic area, over 100 comic creators, plus the Nick Post Scholarship Silent Auction. We'll be gathering up items for next year's charity booth and auctions. So if you want to drop by and drop it at our podcasting table, where Cory will be podcasting free, I'll stop by occasionally and say hi. October 8th, 2016, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Minnesota State Fair Education Building. Advance tickets on sale now. www.mcbacomiccons.com. They have sent out dealer letters. They have sent out creator letters. If you haven't gotten one, get onto their Facebook page or their email and send them a quick email. Let them know that you want to go. I, however, don't have my vast accumulation of crap organized enough to do the big blowout like Gruber does every other year. So I guess I'll be shilling shit on eBay for another year. I really honestly thought I'd be done. Oh, well.
You know what else we'll be doing this year, Joe?
Nope.
We will be going to LionCon 2016 at the St. Cloud River's Edge Convention Center on August 27th. It goes from 10 in the morning till 10 at night. We will not just be there, but we will be live streaming the whole thing because I'm insane. That's the St. Cloud's River's Edge Convention Center. That's at 10 4th Avenue South, St. Cloud, Minnesota. Be there. And now that we've talked about the eBays, we asked Jen what's going on with the arts.
Nothing. I'm just texting people while Joe talks.
We should be used to that by now.
Well, usually I'm on Facebook.
I don't think so. You usually, what did you do the last week from the last time we talked to you?
Did I do something? I made a painting video. Did you see that?
I did,
That's
yes.
why we're asking. You did?
Oh, I made a painting
didn't.
video.
I must not get the notifications.
I'm like starving, so buy some stuff. Yep.
And now that we're done with that, we get to my favorite.
How could you refuse that sales pitch?
There you go.
Now that we've done all the plugs and everything, it's time
for some of my potato chips here.
Joe, I don't want your potato chips. But when is the last time I saw you? In May?
Technically mine. I bought them from a store.
You could hang out with me once in a while.
And now it's time for
Joe.
If I'm allowed to get to it.
Hang on, Jen's talking. What, Jen?
Joe, will you take me to the aquarium at the Mall of America?
I might, because I haven't done that. We have yet to get to the Chuck Jones exhibit either.
Will you take me to both of those things?
It's possible.
I really want to go, but I want somebody to take me because I don't have any money.
But then you're talking to the wrong guy here.
And also,
I'm shilling shit on eBay.
Joe, what are you freaking on?
Well, I'm freaking on the fact Cory doesn't invite anybody to share his pie with him. Son of a bitch puts them all on Facebook and doesn't offer anybody any of it. Of course, I did notice that they tend to, when they give Cory one of their pies, they do cross out the price and the expiration date on it, so maybe we're better off for it. I had no idea that John Goodman was the voice of the Santa robot on Futurama. Just figured that out. My daughter Dana's got her copy of the Harry Potter book and won't let me read it. I just gave her my copy of Neil Gaiman's How to Talk to Girls at Parties, but does she share? No. And the other thing is, apparently they gave away a Dazzler record album at the San Diego Comic-Con. It was a big hubbub because they used some of Bill, how do you say his name? Sienkiewicz? Yeah, they used his art, did not tell him they were going to use it, did not pay him, did not even send him a complimentary, couple albums, which they really should have because those damn things are going about $100 on eBay now. And, I just want to get one so we can play it on this here podcast and see how good it sounded. So, I guess the name of the game is denial. Jen, what are you freaking on?
Nothing.
I miss the crickets.
Cory, what are you freaking on?
This week is the last issue of the new Howard the Duck series. Read a review that said it was a tribute to Steve Gerber, and I'm not going to say I was friends with Steve Gerber. We exchanged emails. I did research for him. When he passed away, I was upset, And when they announced the Howard the Duck series, I was not interested in it because Howard the Duck is Steve Gerber's character. It was almost his avatar. But Chuck Zdarsky did a very good job of writing the series. He made it different enough that it wasn't a pastiche, but it was personal enough that it felt good. And I hear the last issue is really good. It's a book I'll be missing. And you guys remember when my wallet vanished? Well, because of that, I had to cancel all my credit cards. Because I had to cancel all my credit cards, my payment for my comics was delayed by 2 weeks. And because the payment for my comic was delayed by 2 weeks, my box day was delayed, and I did not get it over the weekend. It is still sitting and will be sent next week. So not only was July a 5-week month, but now I have to go another week without comics. Joe, what are you geeking on?
I've been slowly exploring Netflix. I found they posted, what do they call it? First Man on the Moon, the 1920s short, which was just surreal as all hell, because what they had done is they found a colorized version of it, and then they put some modern music to it, so it was really, really funked out. It's only 15 minutes, so it was kind of fun. Watched a documentary called Back in Time, where they dealt with the Back in the Future. It was kind of neat because they talked to the stars, and of course Leah Thompson is still very, very hot.
And in the last issue of Howard the Duck.
Yep, that's the one I want to pick up. I was hoping they'd have a photo variant, but I don't think they're going to. From the Wandering Minstrel department, I got me a copy of Batman from Norway. And it's all in a weird language. I don't recognize it. But it looks a lot like Batman animated stuff. And it also comes with a little tiny Batman water pistol. So if I open it up to read the comic, it's no longer mint. So I thank my cousin Mary for doing that. Speaking of our good buddy Gerber, I pulled down Omega the Unknown Classic, which I have no idea when I bought it, and decided I'd start reading it. This collects Omega the Unknown 1 through 10 and Defenders 76 to 77, which, of course, Omega itself was written by Steve Gerber.
And Mary Screens.
Let's see. Steve Grant, Mark Grunwald did the Defenders portion of it.
Which Stephen Grant says that he doesn't disavow it, but he doesn't think it should be included in that book.
Well, if that's all they're ever going to do with it.
Right, and Gerber said that was not anywhere close to the ending he had planned.
Well, no kidding. I mean, the problem was, back if you remember, these boys were smoking a lot of pot, getting a lot of shit out, getting late on stuff, which is really too bad because the book itself, at least the Gerber part, it starts out a very, very hard read. Unlike most Marvel comics of that time, you actually have to read the word boxes because Omega the Unknown doesn't talk, and as he experiences what he's going through, it's through I shouldn't say no, I said it right, he doesn't talk. He can talk, but he doesn't. And he experiences the world through the boxes. So you actually have to read pretty much everything on the page. And it did kind of get going, and by the time issue 10 hits, it ends where the story of Omega the Unknown will be concluded in a future issue of the Defenders. Unfortunately, Steve got fired in the meantime. A lot of questions left out, but what they did do is try to cover it up in the Defenders. Now, I remember reading this, and I had no effing clue what was going on. And now that I read Omega the Unknown, it is really, really bad. I mean, I don't... Maybe you can tell me, Cory, why they had to finish it up, but boy, this was really just a terrible ending. And I hope someday they'll come out with maybe a real ending and just say this was a joke.
What it is... Grunwald was a continuity nerd, and he felt that the story needed to be wrapped up. So he got Stephen Grant. Grant didn't quite know where Gerber was going, and they sat around and tried to figure out where it might have gone.
And I suppose there was no way you could have called up Grant, because I don't think he was necessarily friendly with Marvel people at that time.
No, Gerber. Gerber.
No, I meant Grant. Grant couldn't have called Gerber.
No, because Steve Gerber was suing Marvel, and there was no way they were going to give him any money or credit at the time. He was suing for Howard the Duck.
The question is, did Gerber ever tell us what he thought, where it was going to go?
No.
Okay, because I know I've read a lot of back issue and alter egos and stuff, and I don't recall ever seeing anything about that.
On the Howard the Duck discussion list, where Gerber was active, every so often people would ask, and he would say, I have made a pact with Mary Screens that we would write the story together. I won't write it without her. And when he passed, a couple of people have said, who knew Gerber quite well, that Steve didn't know where he was going with it. Which, after having a number of discussions with him, I can completely understand, because he said he liked to throw stuff in and have no idea what he was going to do with it, such as the elf with a gun in Daredevil, in The Defenders. He had no idea where he was going with that, didn't know, he just put it in there and thought, I'll think of something later. And then when they wrapped up that storyline by having the elf across the street from the Defenders headquarters, carrying the gun, and running toward the headquarters, and it got hit by a bus, Gerber said, that was perfect, I wish I would have thought of that.
Now the question is, did the Omega the Unknown, the second series, the one by Jonathan Lethem and Farrell, however you pronounce his name, is that part of this, or is that just its own thing?
It is its own thing.
Okay.
It's an excellent, excellent book.
Yeah, I picked up the hardcover on eBay, but I haven't read it yet.
And Jonathan Lethem is a fantastic, fantastic writer. It's the only thing he did in comics. He mostly works in prose. But it's an amazing book. Highly recommended. Basically uses Gerber's series as kind of a jumping off point for a story he wanted to tell. And anything I would tell you about it would spoil it, but it starts as a superhero story and then becomes something very, very different. Highly recommended. You could probably find the hardcover or the softcover in bargain bins, because even though Lethem is a very well-known author, it did not sell very well.
Yeah. Now, we talked a lot, or somewhat, we talked about the merry-go-round in the 70s of editors and writers and artists, and you know how a lot of these guys shot themselves in their own foot because they were so late that by the time the printers nailed Marvel for the printing fee due to the late printing costs, their books became unprofitable and were canceled and yada, yada, yada. No better example of that you will find than in the Supervillains United, the complete Supervillains Team-Up paperback, which I picked up as well. And this collects giant-size Supervillain Team-Up 1 and 2, Supervillain Team-Up 1 through 4, and then 16 through 17, because 15 was a Deadline Doom reprint. Avengers 154 through 156, and Champions number 16. And it was written by a who's who of people: Thomas, Isabella, Shooter, Mandelo, Englehart, Conway, Gillis. Illustrated by another who's who: Buscema, Sawinski, Evans, Buscema, Trimp, Giffen, Perez, Shooter. That one threw me. Shooter actually drew Hall, Infantino, Jones. And what's fun, for the most part, the story actually does hold up. There's only one place where it doesn't. It's where, from Giant Size Supervillain Team-Up 2 to Giant Size 1, and again, you have different writers, where Dr. Doom and Submariner decide, we will get together and defeat the world. And then, of course, when Isabella got a hold of issue 1, I will hear no more of your fine words, Doctor! Wah! And they start yelling at each other and everything breaks up. But what was fun is just sitting there reading the story, which hold up fairly well, but you just say, okay, let's see, issue 1, Isabella wrote it, Tuska Everett were the artists, and Len Wein was the editor. Issue 2, Sal Buscema, Fred Kita were the artists. Tony was still writing it, Len was still the editor. Let's go to issue 3. Now what's cool about this is they do the covers. Issue 3, writer Jim Shooter, artist George Evans, editor, Marv Wolfman, and so on and so on. George Pred did the Avenger parts, and I mean, it's a fun book. It's very much the Marvel style, but knowing the background history of Marvel at the time, it was just amazing reading those credits, month after month. I swear, you didn't see, it was almost as much fun seeing who the hell was writing and drawing the issue as it was who was editing it. So, definitely worth picking up. There's a whole series of 70s books, The Shield Steranko, The Warlock Starlin, Deathlock the Demolisher by Rick Buckler, and of course The Inhumans with Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. They're all like $35 books, so they're expensive to pick up. But like Cory said, you keep your eyes open on eBay. I suppose you can check out Discount Comic Book Service. Skip Amazon. I swear, when something goes out of print, Amazon has it for like about 300 times cover price. So, and that was pretty much it. A lot of reading going on. The only other thing I read about is the secret history of the Marvel Comics, but we're going to save that. Maybe I'll talk about that some fill-in episode down the road. I don't know. Maybe not. And if the lovely Jen is up, let's see what she's geeking on. It's important to give her a good segue so she can, stop texting and unmute her mic.
I heard you. The mic's not on mute. I'm not really geeking on anything this week either. Oh, I guess I am. I went shooting on Saturday.
Yeah? What tell me about that. What did you and Bud shoot?
We shot some guns.
Do you know what kind
and then,
or not?
Some other guns, yeah.
So well, I should talk to Bud because he probably is knows more about like.
Bud would probably love to tell you about his guns. So I went to see Bud, which was awesome, and we met at his place, and then we drove to the range. And the range it's an outdoor range that you just pay like a yearly membership for, and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. So we drove and drove and drove, and had a long conversation about some fairly heavy shit on the way there, and then we pull off, and it's like in the woods, and then there's this little like dirt road that, the road's just getting smaller and more remote. So I'm like, oh shit, am I gonna die? But no, it was nice. We shot, he has a lever action shotgun, and then this little kind of adorable kind of mini, not quite a shotgun rifle thing that was probably my favorite of the day. We were both, I'm pretty bad, so I'm gonna need some classes, probably, but it was a good day. It was a little hotter than I would have liked, and we went and had some actually not terrible Tex-Mex food afterwards, so it was a good afternoon, and Bud's a great guy, and I enjoyed talking to him. He told me about his cats. And then afterwards, I went and, what did I do Saturday night? It was a long day. I can't remember. Oh, I went and hung out with another friend, and we had like a fire pit outside, and sat out and played with the dog, and then last night I was hanging out with someone else, and we were doing some life drawing, some still life drawing, and I've just been getting out and doing stuff, so I'm going to be cutting that back pretty soon here because I need to get back to working on comics, and everybody seems pretty stoked for me to start working on lunch break again, so I'm probably going to be doing that. Was that adequate for you?
It was for me. I don't know what happened to Joe.
Okay. Cory, what are you geeking on?
If you are subscribed to this here podcast, and I sure hope you are, last week I interviewed Liz Seraphim Barubi, who has been a guest at the FallCon, SpringCon, whatever. We talked, the episode itself is only about an hour. We talked for about 3 hours. She told stories of working at Archie and DC and motorcycle rides through the South in the 70s and being a single mom in the 60s. And I often make the joke that this show and me, myself, are a national treasure. She is an unknown national treasure. She's an amazing woman who's just she's done unbelievable things with comics. She has this wonderful philosophy of how she does her coloring in comics. And every so often she would say something like, well, you know, and that was a mistake. I should have blah, blah, blah. And we had just a lovely, long discussion about what it's like when you have to make a choice in your life and deciding which path you're going to take. And at the end, not regretting those choices because it brought you to where you are. You can't go back and say, oh, I wish I would have taken that job, or I wish I would have moved here instead of Minnesota, or anything like that. And it's a lovely episode, and she has been sending me all night tons of her art to use for the YouTube video that will be going up. And just go look at this art on YouTube. Just go look at this art. It's most of the art from the 60s and 70s that was done for Romance Comics was very much of the realistic style, trying very much to I don't know, kind of blandify things. Her art is expressive and emotive, and she draws from emotion rather than anatomy. And the more I see it, the more I just fall madly in love with her stuff. And I would like to thank Mike Frigon, who's one of the three-headed monster who runs the convention, for finding her, because she had no idea that people in comics were still interested. And now she's doing interviews for some websites. She did an interview with us. She may be able to go to San Diego next year. First time being at a big convention like that. And I just, it's one of those things, I always liked the fact that when we find somebody who worked in comics when it was just a job, to talk about the history and what it was like and what went on and what it was like behind the scenes before fandom came in. And I could go on and on and on and on about it, but I won't. Friday, my phone bricked. I have a LG G4, and I guess it is a known issue that they brick.
This is a geeking?
Yes. So my phone bricked, and I took it to the Sprint repair place, and they said, oh, well, we'll try to fix it. And it took them an hour to determine that they couldn't fix it, and they would have to give me a new one. So, new phone. But while I was there, I said, I keep getting these emails about a free tablet. What's up with that? And, of course, you know, the sales guy did the air quotes, free. And I said, well, I have a tablet. I've signed up with you guys for 2 years so that I get, you know, all of these bonuses and everything. He says, oh, well, then you can get this tablet here for free. And it's much bigger than the tablet I have, has much more memory than the tablet I have. Basically, my tablet is 3 years old now, so I have a brand new tablet. And I tell you what, reading comics on that thing is heaven. I have been working a lot of overnights over the past few weeks, and this thing made my weekend, where I was home for, I think, approximately 5 hours. I was at work. It made it wonderful. The screen is big enough that you can actually enjoy watching videos on it, but just reading comics on it. The color is vibrant. It's really responsive, really fast, and I'm truly madly, deeply in love with my tablet. I used it to read a bunch of the Last Days stories. When Marvel did Secret Wars, they basically told all the creators, you can either do stories set in the Secret Wars world, or you can tell us how your character reacted to the end of the world. And I had not read the Ms. Marvel end of the world story, and I know that Jen makes fun of me all the time because I tend to tear up watching commercials, but I was very moved by this story of this young Muslim girl who is a superhero fan who finally meets her idol, Ms. Marvel, but also helps her family deal with the fact that the world is about to end. It was just a beautiful story, highly, highly recommended. It's available on Marvel Unlimited, and there's also a trade paperback of it. And if you haven't read it, go read it. Ms. Marvel won some Eisners this year. All of them were deserved. It may be a mainstream comic, but it is personal, it is emotional, and it is beautifully, beautifully done. Believe it or not, kids, you have listened to this train wreck of a show for an hour and a half. And as we say every week, the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
So I was drinking a margarita and the waitress screamed, "Does anybody know CPR?" And I yelled, "I know the entire alphabet." And we all laughed and laughed. Well, except one guy. Gin?
You're slacking, Joe. This is like the third or fourth show in a row where you've read something I recognize from my Facebook feed.
One more time. Gin?
Hit my music, boys.
Oh, come on, sultry.
All right. Hit my music, boys.
Oh!